Hi guys! As Navratri is around the corner, I'm sure everyone is getting all pretty and prepped up to go and dance in your city Garba festival. I'm a big fan of color, so for me, going to a Garba venue is like taking a child to the candy store. So let's begin this tutorial with the first step called the scissor step. Notice how the right leg moves forward and backward while keeping the left leg into a pivot. The hands move in a cross-up, cross-down movement, which reminds me of a pair of scissors. The idea is for you to jump as much as you can because the higher you jump, the better the step looks. I love putting a lot of energy into my dance because the adrenaline rush is just worth it. In case you're wondering how I danced barefoot on that thorny ground, trust me, it was actually a lot of fun. Let's move on to the second step called the clap and snap step. The name of this step has been given so that you can clap and snap at the second and the fourth count. I start this step with my left foot. Notice how I bend my body to ensure that the step looks bigger. The idea in any Gujarat folk dance is to let the hands loose. This is very different from Indian classical dances where you need to be very grounded in terms of your hands and your mudras. I personally love both styles of dance because both are so unique in their own way. The third step is called Ek Tali and turn, which is translated as one clap and turn. I begin this step by taking a jump on my left side, and then while I'm jumping on the right side, I take my right hand up. Remember that this is not a mirror image, but it doesn't matter because you can learn it either way. The only point to remember while taking a turn is that the left leg always acts as a pivot, while only the right leg alternates between going up and down. Just remember, I've combined basic Garba movements and modified them into my own. At the end of the day, there is no hard and fast rule to do Garba. You can always mix things up. That's the beauty of any folk dance. It evolves with time and varies according to different regions. The Garba of Ahmedabad will look so different from the Bombay Garba, but at the end, they both are so special in their own way. So don't think too much. You can always use your creativity and come up with modified movements. The next step is called the forward bend clap. I like calling it that because the bend is the highlight in this step. Let's welcome Tishya, who's assisting me in this step. If you notice, I always take my left leg forward while my right leg helps only to take a jump. The turn is always from my right side. The step has only one rule. The more you bend, the better it looks. Imagine that you were walking down the road, you almost tripped, but instead of falling, you decided to clap. This step reminds me of my childhood a lot, where I used to play hopscotch all day in the backyard, and my pet Polly would sit cross-legged and watch me with so much curiosity. I feel this step has been largely influenced by that game. Because if you notice, all folk dances have their roots in daily village activities, games and primary movements. The next step is called Teen Tali. This is a traditional Garba step which means 3 claps. The step involves clapping 3 times and at the same time, the right leg moves front and back. When I take the first clap, the body turns upward, and when I take the third clap, it moves downward. In Gujarat, every nook and corner used to have a gathering called the Pandal, where ladies dressed up in gorgeous bandhani saris and oxidized jewelry and would do the Teen Tali Garba. I would be so amazed to see so much determination. Let's move on to the next step, which is called 2-step Dodiyo with a turn. A Dodiyo is a movement to move either forward or backward in direction using wave-like movements. A 6-step Dodiyo is the traditional step, but I've created a modification called the 2-step Dodiyo and a turn. I start from my right leg in this case, but traditional Dodio start with the left. You can choose whatever direction you are comfortable with. If you notice, I'm holding my right hand up when I take the turn. The reason is there have been so many times where I've gone to Garba venues without anyone to take care of my stuff, and I've ended up holding my dandias all the time. So imagine you're holding up your dandias and you're good to go. Just by holding both the dandias in one hand, you can manage pretty much all the steps in Garba. And that too without the hassle of worrying about keeping dandias at a safe place. That's like 2 birds with 1 shot, I say. This is one of my favorite steps in Garba, and it's called the Dotali. This means double clap. I find this step resembling a village belle who's running across the meadows and fields while playing with the baby goats and lambs. This is a forward-going movement where you move forward normally first, and then you turn back and move in reverse direction. The hands need not have any fixed movement as such, but you can let the hand move along with the body. I took a pose at the end of this step, but you can repeat the same without the pose. Let's move on to the most fun section of Garba, the Ras, because one needs a partner to do this dance. And group work is so much more fun than individual work. The next step is called the 4-step dandiya. This step suggests that we take 4 steps. 2 to go right and left, 3 to hit the dandiyas in your own place, and 4 to change positions. I absolutely love these steel dandiyas that I'm using, and I love the swirls that it does. My mom got me these cool pair of dandiyas from a remote village in Gujarat. Hats off to all the effort that she put in finding these for me. Do you notice how these dandiyas rotate so easily? Don't get intimidated by it. It's a very, very simple trick. Do you want to know the secret? There's a small ring attached to the dandiya with a ball bearing attached to it, which makes this rotation so easy. I must applaud this genius who came up with this concept, because otherwise, unlike drummers, I would have taken at least 100 years to master the skill. This is the last and final step of this Garba tutorial. This step is called the 1101 step. I love the name of this step because, just like the binary numbers, the ones are when dandiyas get hit and zeros are the cases where it doesn't. I spent 4 years in college with all my subjects dealing in binary numbers, and I was bound to be inspired by it in some way. I feel so obsessed with this binary numbers that sometimes I feel that even my body clock works that way. Thank you for watching us. Please follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/PIA Dance Studio, which is facebook.com/PIAH Dance Studio. I'm so grateful to Sandeep Benny, the director and cameraman for this video. Without him, this video wouldn't have been possible. And also Tishya Khare for being the perfect assistant director and preventing all the bloopers from happening in this video. Goodbye and all the best.